Princess Margaret died on the 9th of February 2002 at the age of 71. She left her only daughter, Lady Sarah, exactly 7 inheritances. 3 of them were objects you could hold in your hand. The other 4 were patterns, ways of being, learned across a lifetime inside a difficult household. Sarah took the 3 objects. She took the Snowdon floral tiara, assembled by the jeweler Wartski from 3 diamond brooches her father gave her mother as a wedding gift in 1960. The same 3 floral brooches her mother wore for over 3 decades, mounted into a tiara frame specifically for Sarah's own wedding day. She took the pearl earrings, traceable back to a 1942 bequest, which appear in photographs across nearly 30 years of her public life. She took a pearl and diamond necklace that specialist sources link back through Margaret to Queen Mary herself. 3 objects, 3 documented lines of inheritance, visible in the public record across 2 decades. The acceptance was genuine, sustained, and photographic. But the other 4 inheritances, the temper, the grievance, the performance, the certainty that the world owed her its eyes, those she refused, every single one. And she spent more than 20 years proving it in the smallest ways a private woman can. This is the inventory of what a daughter kept and what she handed back. On the 6th of May, 1960, Princess Margaret married photographer Anthony Armstrong Jones at Westminster Abbey, in the first royal wedding broadcast on British television. Among his private gifts to her that day were 3 antique diamond flower brooches, sparkling leaf and petal settings, each one a separate piece. Specialist sources, including the dedicated tiara reference site, Tiara Mania, confirm they were given by Armstrong Jones on the occasion of the 1960 wedding. Armstrong Jones acquired them specifically for her, rather than drawing on family jewels. For the next 18 years, while the marriage lasted, Margaret wore them. After their divorce in 1978, she kept them. Through the 1980s, she wore them still, to the Queen's 60th birthday celebrations in April 1986, according to the Daily Express, and on other gala occasions. 3 separate pieces, worn separately, appearing in photographs across 3 decades of her public life. They were still brooches in 1993 when Margaret's daughter, Sarah, began planning her wedding. Sarah had chosen Jasper Conran to design her gown. According to the Royal Watcher, a specialist royal jewelry blog, Conran saw the 3 diamond flower brooches in Margaret's jewelry box and suggested they be made into a tiara. Margaret brought them to Wartski, the London jeweler. Wartski built a frame to hold all 3 pieces together in a single arc. Crucially, the brooch fittings remained intact, meaning the 3 pieces could still be worn separately, as they always had been. The tiara united them without absorbing them. On the 14th of July, 1994, Lady Sarah Armstrong Jones married Daniel Chatto at St. Stephen Walbrook, a Christopher Wren church in the City of London. St. Stephen Walbrook sits a mile from Westminster Abbey, where her parents had married before 300 million television viewers. Hello magazine later described the 1994 ceremony as intimate. She walked in wearing the newly assembled tiara, 3 brooches that had crossed a marriage, a divorce, and 3 decades of her mother's life now sat together above her veil. The court jeweler confirms that Sarah wore the tiara and a set of diamond and pearl drop earrings borrowed from Princess Margaret that day, both of which subsequently became Sarah's own property. Hello magazine, in a 2021 piece on the wedding, reports the same. The floral brooches, combined by Wartski, worn by the bride, later inherited. That is the object's biography in brief. Father to mother as a gift, mother to daughter as a frame, daughter to every major ceremony since. In September 1942, Dame Margaret Helen Greville died at Polesden Lacey, her Surrey estate. She was a society hostess with no children and a large jewelry collection. Her will left all of her jewels and jewelry to Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Mother, with, in her own words, her loving thoughts. Multiple independent sources confirm the bequest: Tatler, Town and Country, the National Trust Polesden Lacey records. The collection exceeded 60 pieces, delivered to the Queen Mother in a monogram trunk. It included tiaras, earrings, necklaces, brooches, a comprehensive transfer of one woman's ornamental life to another. Among that cash, specialist sources identify a set of pearl and diamond drop earrings. The Royal Watcher, in a dedicated 2018 article on the pieces, describes them as dating possibly from the 1930s and inherited from Mrs. Greville by the Queen Mother in 1942. The same source states they passed to Princess Margaret in the 1950s. No primary institutional record confirms the specific chain of custody for these exact earrings. What can be confirmed is that Princess Margaret wore pearl earrings consistent with this description, that they appear at her daughter's 1994 wedding in the court jeweler's contemporaneous account, and that Hello magazine confirmed in 2018, in an article headlined, "Why Lady Sarah Chatto Wears the Same Earrings to All Royal Events," that Sarah consistently wears them to major occasions, and that the pieces are believed to have originated with Mrs. Ronald Greville. That article title is itself a form of documentation. A named mainstream publication in 2018 identified a pattern of consistent wearing across more than 2 decades, linked the earrings to the Greville bequest, and noted their appearance at Prince William and Catherine Middleton's wedding in April 2011 and Zara Phillips and Mike Tyndall's wedding in July 2011. The Royal Watcher's 2024 catalog of Sarah's jewels adds the Golden Jubilee service at St. Paul's Cathedral in 2002, the Duke of Edinburgh's memorial service in 2022, and the coronation of King Charles III in May 2023 as additional appearances. The Court Jewelers Coronation Roundup confirms that at Westminster Abbey on the 6th of May 2023, Sarah wore pearl and diamond earrings from her late mother with suspected Greville provenance. 30 years from the 1994 wedding to the 2023 coronation. The same earrings or something very close to them at every major ceremonial occasion in between. 30 years of the same inherited pieces at every jubilee, memorial, and coronation. That is what deliberate wearing looks like, quiet and correct and undramatic. A pearl and diamond alternating riviere appears in photographs of Lady Sarah at the Queen's 80th birthday dinner in 2006 and at both royal weddings in 2011. The Court Jeweler, in a detailed 2022 article on Princess Margaret's diamond necklaces, notes that Sarah wore this pearl and diamond necklace at the Diamond Jubilee service in June 2012, stacked with the shorter King George VI diamond necklace she also inherited, and describes the pearl and diamond piece as having belonged to Margaret via Queen Mary. That parenthetical, via Queen Mary, is the specialist's own careful phrasing, not a formally documented provenance chain. Here is what can be confirmed. Queen Mary owned multiple diamond rivieres. One of them, the Lady Mount Stephen necklace, 34 graduated old-cut diamonds, silver and gold, circa 1900, passed from Queen Mary to Princess Margaret and was sold at Christie's in June 2006 for £993,600, the highest-priced jewel in the entire sale. That piece is gone. What the specialist sources point to, when they describe Sarah wearing something via Queen Mary, is a separate pearl and diamond necklace whose connection to Queen Mary rests on visual identification rather than a will or bequest record. The Royal Watcher's own 2025 entry on the piece describes it as having no known provenance, while still tentatively placing it in the Queen Mary collection. 3 generations of women: grandmother, mother, daughter, connected by a necklace whose history the paper trail supports only part way. That limitation is real. Not every inheritance arrives with paperwork. In June 2006, Christie's held 2 sales of Princess Margaret's possessions. The jewelry and Fabergé catalog ran to 185 lots. A separate sale of silver, furniture, and works of art added 582 more. Margaret had left an estate valued at £7.7 million at probate, filed with the London Court on the 15th of April 2002, and confirmed in The Guardian's 2022 report on Windsor family wealth. The Guardian's coverage of the Christie's jewelry sale, published that June, put the expected proceeds at approximately £3 million and stated directly that the money would be used to help pay inheritance taxes. Antiques and the Arts Weekly, a specialist trade publication, confirmed the combined two-day result: $25,104,742. The Poltimore tiara, the one Margaret had bought for herself in 1959 for £5,500 and worn on her wedding day, sold for £926,400. The Lady Mount Stephen diamond necklace, the confirmed Queen Mary piece, sold for £993,600. The catalogue included Margaret's Fabergé, her furnishings, her silver, the objects of a life collected across 7 decades. What wasn't in the catalogue was the Snowdon floral tiara, the Greville pearl earrings, the pearl and diamond necklace, the King George VI diamond necklace, a wheat ear brooch, a diamond star brooch, several other pieces now documented in Lady Sarah's possession by specialist sources. From approximately 767 lots sold for more than $25 million, these were the things she kept. Christie's had everything they were given. The pieces Sarah retained were never offered. The choice is visible in the absence. What wasn't on the auction floor tells you as much as what was. The behavioral inheritance is harder to inventory. There is no Christie's catalog for character, but there is a substantial body of named first-hand testimony about Princess Margaret, and it points consistently toward a set of recognizable traits. Craig Brown's 2017 book, Ma'am Darling, built its portrait from 99 glimpses, drawn from diaries, memoirs, interviews, and first-hand accounts. The Guardian's review called it the examination of a thoroughly rotten royal, laid uproariously bare. The picture that emerges encompasses genuine wit and charm, alongside cruelty that is documented, attributed, and specific. To an architect who had worked on Glamis Castle, "I hear you've completely ruined my mother's old home." To the same man, who had walked with a disability since childhood, "Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and seen the way you walk?" The Guardian reviewer noted she wore her rudeness as Tommy Cooper did his fez. It was her trademark. Anne Glenconner published Lady in Waiting in 2019, a memoir of 30 years as Margaret's closest confidant. Glenconner wrote it, by her own account in a December 2019 Spectator piece, because she was so fed up with people writing such horrible things about Princess Margaret. The book is a partial defense, and yet the defense contains its evidence. When Margaret fell ill away from home, unfamiliar with the servants in the house, she refused to let anyone but Glenconner enter her room. Glenconner slept beside her, managed her hygiene, brought her food, kept her entertained. When Glenconner briefly escaped to swim, Margaret summoned her back within minutes. The Australia Tour memoir excerpts published by Oprah Daily show the same structure across 1975. Margaret's will, navigated through quiet diplomacy rather than confronted, because confronting it directly wasn't an option for people in her orbit. That is one pattern. The certainty of attention, the settled conviction that the room arranged itself around her presence. A second, the performance. Margaret was genuinely funny, and she knew it. George VI had described Elizabeth as his pride, and Margaret as his joy. The dynamic shaped her early. She was the one everyone laughed with, the one Craig Brown characterizes as Britain's aboriginal post-war celebrity. By the time she died in 2002, the New York Review of Books noted in its assessment of Brown's book she had slid to 22nd in the line of succession and retreated to Kensington Palace. The performance had outlasted the stage. A third, the grievance. The accounts that accumulate across Brown's 99 glimpses, across Glenconner's memoir, across the diaries of the people who surrounded her, return consistently to the same structure, the sense that the world had taken something from her and owed her acknowledgement of the debt. Her memorialists, sympathetic and otherwise, treat it as the central wound. A fourth, the temper. Distinct from the wit deployed strategically, this is the anger that arrived without warning, at waiters, at architects, at organizers who had scheduled something she didn't want to do. Brown's book is full of documented instances. So are the diaries and memoirs of the people who lived inside her social circle. What Lady Sarah Chatto's adult record shows, across more than 30 years, is the sustained absence of all four. No documented public temper, no press escalations of her own making, no feuds on the record, no interviews in which she says anything about anything. A 2024 appointment as president of the Royal Ballet School, the position her mother held from 1956 until her death in 2002, was announced by the school without a direct quote from Sarah. Her sons, Samuel David Benedict Chatto, born in July 1996, and Arthur Robert Nathaniel Chatto, born in February 1999, use the surname Chatto. Neither holds a royal title, neither is styled as a Windsor. The decision to name them Chatto rather than Mountbatten Windsor was made at birth, announced to no one, with no press statement attached. 30 years of marriage to Daniel Chatto, no separation reported, no scandal of her own manufacture. An artistic career conducted under her own name, without a royal prefix and without the infrastructure of attention. A close relationship with her cousin King Charles, expressed through attendance at family occasions and through accepting the Royal Ballet School role, but expressed without press releases, without positioning, without the machinery of profile management. You can't photograph a choice not made. What you can photograph are the earrings at jubilee after jubilee, at wedding after wedding, at the coronation of a new king. And note that the woman wearing them has never once demanded that a room notice her. The jewels do the public work. The woman wearing them does not. She kept 3 things: a tiara her father built out of brooches, an earring with a paper trail that runs from a Surrey estate in 1942 to a Westminster Abbey coronation in 2023, a necklace that specialist sources link back through her mother to her grandmother. You can see all 3 in the photographs, at jubilees and weddings and a coronation, worn quietly, correctly, without a word. And then there were the other 4, the ones with no provenance and no glitter, the temper, the grievance, the performance, the certainty that a room owes you its eyes. Those she handed back. For more than 20 years she demonstrated, in the smallest and most consistent ways available to a private woman, that the behavioral inheritance of a difficult household is a choice and not a destiny. She kept what was worth keeping. She refused what wasn't worth carrying. The proof is the woman with her mother's earrings in a drawer and her own name on the gallery wall. Subscribe for more stories like this.